This week, we are joined by Keith Blaske as we discuss our journey into photography. You are listening to the LAKESCAPE Photography Podcast. Hey everyone, welcome to episode 23 of the LAKESCAPE Photography Podcast. I'm your host, Nicholas Albert. This week, we are joined by Keith Blaske, a landscape photographer in the Lower Peninsula of Michigan, as we discuss some of our favorite moments in photography, our journey into the craft, and some of our favorite places and memories over the years. As always, links to all of Keith's work and photos are in the show notes below. Make sure you head over there and give him a follow, check out some of his work as you enjoy this week's discussion.
Thank you, Nick. I appreciate you having me on your show. I'm Keith Blaske from Southwest Lower Michigan. I've been a Michigander for life. Kind of got my photography journey kind of has a theme of different magazines I was into over the decades. First got my spark for beauty, for beautiful scenery as a kid. My dad used to get these Outdoor Life and Field and Stream magazines and such. And I always admired the many scenic views of mountains, wildlife, colorful scenes and all that. I would cut some of them pictures out, hang them on the wall, just being a kid. I've always enjoyed the outdoors. And my passion is Michigan, obviously. I also love the mountains, though, both Appalachian and Rockies. Those are good times out there. So then if you fast forward a decade to my 20s, I was all hot rod, carcraft, road and track type magazines. That was my thing. Not a camera in sight. I was all about speed, burnouts, detailing cars, and all that kind of good stuff. Then in my 30s, I kind of always had been into snowmobiling, but I got back into it a little bit more heavy. And Snowgoer magazine was the top of my list. Snowmobiling was my way of getting out and enjoying the amazing winter scenes found around Michigan and beyond. We kind of went all over the Great Lakes. Even went out west 3 times. Places like Priest Lake, Idaho, West Yellowstone, Montana, Du Bois, Wyoming. The scenery out there is just amazing, and the snow is measured in feet. It's something else. The scenery is just unsurpassed. So with me being in snowmobiling, kind of remembered back to this time, I somehow stumbled across this guy who would post amazing snowmobile scene photos on Facebook or somewhere else that I just can't recall. But I always kept these amazing images in the back of my head. I was not sure how this guy created these. I mean, they just always look so good. They're just fabulous. Just the picture, just everything about him, the scenery, and how he probably edited them is what I thought. So I always kept that in the back of my head. One story of snowmobiling up in the Upper Peninsula was a great time. We went up to Chris Point. Most people complain about that road going to Chris Point when they drive it by car in the summertime. I don't know if you've ever been there, Nick.
No, I haven't been to Chris Point. It's on my list, though.
Yeah, it's quite a drive. It's most of it's dirt, and people, they don't get out much. They say how rough it is and off the beaten path. But in the wintertime, that road shuts down, and it's actually a snowmobile trail. And when you get right to the coast of Lake Superior there, and Chris Point being right around the corner, it's just a different landscape. The drifts are so high, and they're way above your head, and it's pretty treacherous, actually. But I got pictures of us right at the base of the lighthouse with our snowmobiles from way back when. You can't do that now, obviously, but that was a good time. That's a good memory for me. Shifting into my 40s, I still had never picked up a real camera. Actually, magazines now became obsolete to me as I just read everything and saw everything I wanted online. So at that time, I kind of started to enjoy more local scenery. Many images of St. Joe, Michigan were always in my social media feed, the lakeshore, the dunes, and of course the lighthouses. My mom, she really liked lighthouses throughout her life, so I believe I took to them as well. Last year, I actually had 3 images featured in the American Lighthouse Society's 40th anniversary Keeper's Log magazine, which was the winter 2024 edition. So that was pretty cool. So eventually, I kind of started taking cell phone pictures along the coast of Lake Michigan and of all the local lighthouses. I enjoyed it, but I definitely wanted more out of it. I wasn't getting enough with just a cell phone, you know. I liked the views I was seeing, you know, social media. The same things kept coming up, so I knew that's what I was liking. So then when I turned 50, I finally picked up a real camera for the very first time. It was actually my dad's camera. I asked him if I could borrow it. I was pretty intimidated at the time. That's probably why I never got one before or picked one up. I started playing with it and kind of picked it up, and then I eventually bought my own. I bought a Fujifilm, which is I know is not real popular with everybody, but hey, that's my brand, and I got a couple of them.
They all work the same, right?
Yeah, I think so. But you give me a Nikon or a Canon, it might be a little Greek for a little while. I'm mostly self-taught. I read up all I could on the subject, watched YouTube videos along the way. I also attended the winter photo workshop with Neil Weaver and Albrietta Hope up in the Munising area. I really learned a lot from those two, and that was a great time. Albrietta and Neil are such outstanding people and photographers. Much respect for them. And then after taking photos along the coast for quite a few years, I then quickly developed a passion for the moon. I would see images from time to time of the moon with a cool landscape subject, such as out west with the mountains, or, you know, through an arch, or just with a building in the city, or the Statue of Liberty, and even lighthouses. You know, those pictures were really inspiring. I didn't know how they were doing it, you know. So I decided I want to take those pictures myself, you know. So I dug into it, learned that, hey, PhotoPills is a good app. So I quickly learned that and figured out how to use it the best I could. From then, it was a dreaming up a shot, seeing if and when it was possible, and then making it happen. Sometimes some of those shots I plan, I wait months or even, you know, more than a year for a certain alignment to happen. But, you know, I do try and get out monthly and get a full moon shot with at least something. And in the wintertime, that crescent moon sets pretty early. So that's my thing in the wintertime too, maybe twice a month.
Oh yeah. You gotta deal with the cold and the elements then.
Yeah. The cold, seems like I'm bundled up probably, 7-8 months out of the year, especially along the lakeshore. But it's a good time.
Oh yeah. Yeah. I really like the snowmobile mention you had in there, getting out to Crisp Point. And, you know, like I said, I've never been, but it's on my list of places to go to. And just 2 weeks ago now, 2-3 weeks ago, I don't know if you've ever been to Rock River Falls in Hiawatha National Forest, but that road's pretty rough getting in there. And yeah, as you were saying that, I was like, yeah, I just went to Rock River. That's a pretty treacherous waterfall to get to.
Where is that located?
So it's like right between Marquette and Munising. And
okay.
If you're going to go, I highly recommend going in from the south. Do not go in from the north. The north is much more complex, we'll say, as far as ruts and deep water and mud. But as long as you have like a SUV or a truck, you'll get in there all right.
Yeah, I'm an off-road guy. I love that kind of stuff, so I have to check that out.
Yeah, it's awesome. It's funny too, because like when you mentioned you were into sports cars and burnouts and all that. I mean, I think we all go through that in our 20s, most of us, because I was the same way. And now I'm mid 30s and I'm the same way. I'm all into off-road, trying to, get to new places, looking at side by sides and lifted Jeeps. Just bought a new truck to help get to some of these places. And man, it's I don't know. Maybe I'm crazy. Maybe you'll agree with me, but I feel like off-roading is more fun than just being crazy in a sports car.
Yeah, yeah. It's I say that getting there is half the adventure. So
Oh yeah. And trust me, if you make the trek to Rock River, that's that's a solid that's a solid route. I mean, you coming from the south, you I mean, it's a paved road and then it ends, becomes a dirt road, and initially it doesn't look that bad. You're like, yeah, this is doable. And you come around this turn and you look down this long dirt road, and it's basically just one rut puddle after the next. It's like, all right, well, this just got way more complicated.
last year, we took a trip out to the mountains, out by the Silverton area, San Juan Mountains. Took some nice pictures out there. Oh, that was amazing. The trails out there are so rugged. Yeah, it can be scary. Got those sheep roads. It's a good time though. Beautiful country.
It's gorgeous out there. And San Juan's, I was there in 2019, actually. I was kind of doing like a tour of Colorado for fall, and I I started in Aspen and just kind of started going wherever the road took me, and left Aspen, ended up in Grand Junction, and then just kept going, ended up in Telluride. And when I was in Telluride, I followed, I don't remember the name of the road, but I followed it all the way back to like where you stop before you can get to like Bridal Veil Falls and Black Bear Pass. And there was a bunch of guys and lifted Jeeps and whatever. And they were going up there. And I was like, oh, you can just drive up this road. And they were like, yeah, just don't. Like, Black Bear Pass is crazy dangerous. So naturally, my curiosity, I was like, I'm going to walk up there and see what this is all about. And you get up there and it's just switchbacks. I was like, yeah, no way. No.
There's some hair raising stuff out there for sure. I didn't go on the real tough trails either. I mean, yeah, got to make it home too.
Right. Exactly. And that's, when I was out there just a few weeks ago in the Upper Peninsula going to Rock River, it was the same thought I had. I was like, I can't be beaten on my vehicle. Like, I still have to get home in this vehicle. So, but, it's interesting because, obviously you're well traveled. You've been all over the place. And long time ago, I was probably 16, maybe 17. And I had this opportunity. I wouldn't even necessarily call it an opportunity. It was just by chance. I ran into a Youper that lifelong, just been in the UP his whole life. And I was sitting there, I started talking with him, and I was telling him, hey, yeah, it's beautiful here, but I want to go out west. I want to see everything out west and, explore those beautiful places. And he told me, he's like, anything that you can do out west, out east, wherever, anything, you can do the same thing right here in the Upper Peninsula. And I was like, I don't know, like maybe. And after spending the last 20 years exploring and just learning, without a doubt, 100%, you surely can.
Yeah, the Upper Peninsula is really great.
Yeah, it's a cool spot. What are some of your favorite places up there?
I've been in Munising quite a bit. Marquette. Uh, been over the Porkies. Only up in the Keweenaw one time though.
Yeah.
I definitely need to check that out some more. Chris Point, with the Newberry area, kind of snowmobiled all across the whole Upper Peninsula, except for the Keweenaw.
Yeah, that's one thing that Neil and I actually talked about back in, it was either December or January. we were talking about getting to a few different places up there, and we both kind of came to the same conclusion that you can only go so far, even in a truck. Like, you can only get so far before you need a snowmobile, especially in the winter. You should just basically, as soon as you cross into the UP, just get on a snowmobile, because you're going to get around faster.
Yeah. If I would have been into photography back then, I'm not into snowmobiles now. I got tired of chasing the snow. But
Fair
man,
enough.
if I had a camera back then, boy, that would have been, I would have got some good shots, Just all the places I've been, and not everyone can get to those places.
Oh yeah. Yeah. I mean, some of that stuff back there, up there, is so remote, and the seasonal roads, they close down, and then that right there rules out, I'd say, 50% of like waterfalls and whatnot, because probably more than that, because it's all, you got to take some old two tracks to get there in the spring, summer, fall. Rock River Falls, Barriga Falls, all these places. I remember, I want to say it was this winter of 24 or 23. It was 2024. I had rented a Jeep because my 4Runner at the time was in the shop. So I rented a Jeep to go up to the Upper Peninsula with, and I hadn't been to Barriga Falls. So I was like, I'm going to drive there. I don't care that there's snow on the ground. And I was going down all the back roads to get there. And I came up to where it becomes a 2-track, and it was like 3 feet of snow. And I just stopped and looked at it. I was like, no, this is not going to work.
You're right. Yeah, you can get yourself into some deep trouble with snow, I tell you what. In a car or truck.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, but that's part of the fun of it, really, is I feel, seeking these places out, and like you said, the adventure of getting there, and that feeling of, hey, I made it. Like, that's half the fun. It's always cool to scope out new places, hike into new areas. Now you're down in the Lower Peninsula, and obviously going back and forth between the two, but your lighthouse photography has been really inspiring, man, including the moon and, the different seasons and everything. What brought you into that?
I'm closest to St. Joe, and I used to think, pretty soon I'm not going to get any more different kind of shots, but I can go there every time and get something good. And I feel like it's not what I've taken before. It's kind of strange that it happens that way, but I just look for different compositions. And then when that moon comes along, I don't care if it's same composition or not. That thrill of the moon is something else.
Yeah, that's one thing that I wish we could get more of here on my side of the lake, where like you can get the moonrise with like Chicago or what have you, but we don't have like the lighthouses. I mean, we have the Chicago lighthouse, or the Chicago Harbor lighthouse.
Yeah, I got that one with the moonrise once.
Yeah, it's
2 years ago.
It's beautiful there. Like, you can get that one with the moonrise, but other than that, we have Waukegan Harbor, and I think there might be one more out there. But I always see your shots with like the moon or the crescent moon, and you have St. Joe, or any one of the lighthouses in that region. And then not that, I mean, maybe we're thinking of cooler temperatures because it's so hot outside, but in the winter, you got the ice that builds up on St. Joe too, which I myself have been chasing for the last few years, and regrettably I haven't made it yet.
Yeah, the winter just brings about such a different landscape, and that ice, boy, it just draws the people. They like to go out and they like to check it all out. And shoot, I just love to, take photographs of it and just share it.
Yeah. Hey, I mean, that's what it's all about, man, is just,
Yeah.
Getting out there, being authentic, and just shooting what you like. I think that's it. I feel like it's really easy to get caught up in like the social media trap of like, what's going to perform best on social media. And then before
Yeah,
you know it, you're not shooting for yourself anymore.
right. And you never know it. That algorithm, it changes.
Oh, yeah.
I
All
think
the
all of us
time.
have experienced that. But
Yeah. That's, I've had a few conversations with a few different photographers on that same thing where you'll be quote unquote trending or whatever, and your photos will be doing great, and then all of a sudden it's like a switch flips and nobody sees it anymore, and it's like what, did I do something wrong? Like what happened? And you know over the last year now, it has had its ups and downs for me, but I've just kind of come to the conclusion, like, you know what? I don't care. I'm shooting what I like. I'm sharing what I like. If it does, great, awesome. If not, whatever.
yeah, that's a good way to look at it.
I feel like it almost, like, the social media craze almost takes a part of the joy of photography out of photography. Like,
Yeah,
like you mentioned when you were younger, you'd cut out the pictures of magazines, and you knew, like, hey, this is inspiring, I want to hang on to this. It wasn't like, oh, I can save this post, I can screenshot it, and
yeah.
whatever. Like, it was just different then. And I did the same thing. My dad was a model railroader, and he'd get these model railroad magazines, and they'd have like all these different pictures of these awesome landscapes all over the country. And then, like, an example of, hey, I took this picture of this landscape, and then incorporated it into my model railroad layout. And my dad had stacks and stacks of these magazines all over the place. So I was like, hey, can I, like, take some of these pictures out? And I used to do the same thing. I'd rip the page out, pin it to my wall, and be like, look at this cool mountain range.
I had just one picture of a moose. It was set in the winter. He was in the snow, and just had this really cool background. I bet you I probably still have that photo somewhere. I'd have to dig for it.
It's those ones that stick with you, that, kind of inspire you. You know, those pictures you think back on, that no matter what, they're just there. Like, it reminds me of this one that I saw. This was, I might not have even been 10, but um, my dad had this magazine. I remember opening it up, and there was this picture of this locomotive in front of this just incredible waterfall, as it was like going wherever it was going. I don't even know where it was, or if it was even in the United States, but it was like the train was obviously the subject, and this waterfall was not like right next to it, but it was part of the scene. And I just thought, like, wow, look how cool that looks. Like, that place looks magical. And looking across my body of work now, I shoot a lot of waterfalls, and I attribute a lot of it to being young and just seeing this picture in a magazine and thinking, wow, look how cool that is.
Right? Yeah, I love shooting a good waterfall myself.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. And in Michigan, man, there's so many. You guys got tons of options.
Yeah, mostly in the upper.
Yeah. Yeah. But I mean, there's, more reason to get out there and
Yeah,
adventure. As far as, like, bringing authenticity into your work, and, just like we were talking about, staying focused on shooting what makes you happy. Like, what's your process? How are you approaching things, or taking your inspiration into consideration?
it seems like I'm drawn to things that are, I don't know, people who don't take those pictures every day. Stuff that is really like people will look at it and say, "Oh wow, look at that!" I kind of tend not to post stuff that I don't think is that great. Although every time I go out, I can get something good. Um, I just like to post good things. I'm definitely authentic. I've been accused, some of my moon shots, I've been accused of, oh, that's not real. The moon is not pink. You'll have that with everything, I think, but just take it in stride and try and explain yourself and do the best you can with those people, or ultimately maybe block them. But you know,
Yeah, I've had similar experiences. Just a few months ago, actually, I posted a Northern Lights picture of that I shot up in Union Bay, and this individual had commented on it and was like, "Oh, this is all AI," and rah 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 rah. I was like, "It's not AI," and it sucks because now people are on the lookout for it, and you know if they feel like, oh, that's impossible, they just say, oh, no, it's AI. Like, not necessarily.
yeah, and the people don't even know you. That's the bad thing. You just kind of got to overlook it and move on.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, that's always been the same approach that I've had too, is like, you know, you're never going to please everybody. And if you try, you're going to drive yourself nuts.
Yeah,
So just, going back to just do what you like, shoot what you like, and
yeah,
share what makes you happy.
right.
I remember talking again to Neil Weaver. I think it was 2022 or 2023. We were having a discussion at the Porcupine Mountains, and I was standing there talking with him, and we were just talking about how, the same thing, that, you go out, you shoot a photo you're really, really proud of. Maybe it's a small scene, maybe it's a sunrise, a sunset, whatever. And sometimes when you share it, it's just like doesn't get any traction, nothing at all. But then you share a picture that you're maybe not as proud of, or you're just like, yeah, it's good, but it could be better, and it just takes off. It's like, how make it make sense?
Yeah, yeah. It really. I've shot some head scratchers myself. Like, hey, I think this is my best photo ever. No, people don't like it that well. But some ones, they kind of are drawn to those too.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I feel like the moon, like when you incorporate the moon and it's like twilight or blue hour, and you have
Yeah,
that soft light on your subject and the moon in the background, I feel like those shots are always special. It's so
yeah.
cool to see it.
Yeah, I think the best lighting is when the sun angle is about -4 degrees to -1 degree below the horizon. Just the perfect lighting. That's what I strive for. Doesn't happen every month. Usually it's pretty close, but it varies.
Yeah, that's the same thing that I typically try to do. Is I call it the transition between blue hour and golden hour, that short window of transition light where it's still somewhat like orangey, but you start getting those purples and blues in it. That's that's my favorite. When you can find that out there, it's like, I'm convinced you could take a picture of a pop can and it would look good. When you're out there and you're looking around on the shoreline, on the beach, you're obviously checking out the lighthouse, looking for compositions, waiting for that right light. Is there times where you see something like the dunes, or something, surprises you, a subject surprises you when you're out there, that you end up just completely shifting your focus?
Yeah, sometimes. I mean, like I might be walking out and you can just see the top of the lighthouse. And, I think that's a cool composition, something different you just don't see every day. I'm always looking for those leading lines and things like that, and curves, and just try to, have your eye lead to the subject. I kind of try to do that. One of my favorite times to shoot though is after the sun goes down. Tell you what, that's where I get a lot of my good shots, long exposures. I really like doing those.
Yeah. That's the long exposures. I feel like when you combine the right light, the right subject, and a little bit of energy and movement,
Yeah.
man, it can be a very powerful scene.
Yeah, for sure. And with Lake Michigan, if you can get sometimes a 20-second exposure and then waves are rolling, you can make it look pretty cool. It doesn't look the same, that's for sure.
Yeah, that's one thing that I hope to get eventually is the setting sun with like waves crashing against one of the lighthouses out there, have
Yeah.
the little droplets all lit up and just that
Yeah.
energy, that movement, man. But you gotta like time it so perfectly. It's like you basically have to be in like a location like yourself where
Yeah.
you could just drive over there when the conditions are right, because it's like a 4 hour
Right.
drive, 3 hour drive for me to get there.
When I do go out there, if it's windy, you definitely get sandblasted. That's
Yeah. Yeah. I've seen some posts where it's like you gotta wipe your gear down from all the sand.
yeah, goes in every crevice.
Yeah. I mean, do you go up to like Silver Lake?
Yeah, I do. Yeah, I even drive out on the dunes, have a good time out there too,
Y-
off road.
Yeah, that's a good spot
um,
for it for sure.
but also the pedestrian area. I've done a couple Milky Way shots out there at night. That's a really cool area.
Yeah, the dead forest out there.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah, that's always it amazes me that those landscapes are here in the Midwest. And I, you know, don't discredit the Midwest or the Great Lakes region at all. I tell people all the time, it's beautiful here. You just need to come check it out. But when you see shots like that, like of the dead forest in Silver Lake, or the Milky Way shots that you get with the sand dunes, it's like just mind-boggling. It's so cool to be able to do shoot a lighthouse, then go and shoot these sand dunes, incorporate the night sky, and then turn around and the sky's the limit.
yeah. A lot of those photos are so awe-inspiring. I think I've taken Michigan for granted at times. Just because I've lived here and I've seen it. Most all of it all my life, but it's a great state.
It is. It's beautiful. I mean, the thing I really love about the Great Lakes is it truly offers a little bit of everything. Like, you've got rugged shoreline. Some people may not necessarily consider them mountains, but whether you do or don't, up in the Upper Peninsula, we've got mountains, we've got more shoreline, we've got waterfalls. You go into Wisconsin, waterfalls, shoreline, you've got the driftless region. It's just, there's so many options around us. It's like, it's almost kind of overwhelming sometimes when you're trying to think like, hey, I want to shoot something new. And then you think about all the options and you're like, okay, well, what do I actually want to go shoot?
I actually went up to Minnesota and seen a Split Rock Lighthouse. That one was on my list for quite a while. That was pretty cool. I really enjoyed that.
Yeah, Split Rock's a beautiful place. The North Shore is incredible. When
Yeah,
my first time going there, it was 2017, 2018. That yeah. Yeah, when I was up there in 2018, I went up there for a portion of my fall colors trip, and I had gone all the way up to Grand Portage and back. And I stopped at Split Rock, I stopped at Tedagoosh, I stopped, all the different hot spots that are well known. And I remember when I stopped at Palisade Head, I looked out to Shovel Point and I looked down this cliff, and I was just like, this is incredible. Like, you don't, like, the pictures don't do it justice how big these cliffs are, how beautiful these places are. until you're actually standing there looking at it. Even the cliff that Split Rock Lighthouse sits on, like pictures, you look at it and you're like, okay, yeah, it's a cliff. But then when you're actually standing there looking at it, like, wow, yeah, it's impressive. It's up there.
Yeah, that's a nice area for sure.
Oh yeah. Yeah. I mean, it's the whole Great Lakes region is just incredible. Just we're not flyover states.
No, that's for sure.
It ties back into, at the beginning when I said, I talked with that Uber that had, he born and raised, lived up there his whole life. And, there's moments when I've been out exploring or just decided to go off on a random adventure and you find a waterfall, you find a cliff, you find a, canyon, whatever. There's moments where I'm like, this could easily pass for like the Pacific Northwest or.
Oh, yeah, I agree with you.
Yeah. Like it's incredible what's actually out there.
Yeah. The Pacific Northwest is definitely on my list, but one of these days.
Yeah. Where have you all traveled to?
Scotland a couple years ago. That was pretty epic.
Oh man. I'd love to go there one day. One day.
Those old castles, and lighthouses too. It's pretty cool.
Yeah, they've got the big cliffs right on the ocean there, yeah?
Yeah, yeah. I think it's on Nice Point or however they pronounce that. That was pretty amazing.
Yeah. I've seen photos of that area and you look at it and it seems otherworldly. It's like, how does that exist?
There was the lighthouse we went to, it was getting dark and I thought the picture I wanted was going to be down closer to the lighthouse, but I just didn't walk out far enough up on the cliff. I didn't actually get the shot I wanted, so I think that gives me reason to go back someday.
Hey, sometimes we don't need a reason. It's just, let's just go explore again. But having a reason to go back is definitely beneficial, and that's I feel the same way with a lot of places that I've been to, and I'm sure it's something that all photographers go through where you look at your work from when you first really started taking photography seriously. And like you said, you go to all these cool places and you're like, oh man, well, if I would have had a camera with me, or if I would have known what I know now or more about photography at the time, I could have done this so much better.
Yeah.
And it's like that reason to go back.
Right. Yeah, I used to think I would get tired of going back to the same places, but no, not really. I do like to see new places though and travel a little bit.
Yeah, same here. And I mean, in I guess to this one, it's a couple episodes ago now, but the trips I took here in spring, I used to say the same thing. I'm like, I'm never going to get tired of going to these places and exploring and doing all this. And it's not that I feel tired or bored or anything like that.
Yeah.
It's like almost this nagging sense of like, I want to see some new things and I want to experience some new challenges so that I can go back to the Upper Peninsula, the North Shore, any of these places that we've discussed. So I can go back with new ideas, new approaches, and see all these places in a new way. I think that's really exciting.
And sometimes different weather makes all the difference in the world too.
Oh yeah. Conditions are everything. And, it can make or break a shot.
Yeah. The moon shots, it's cloudy down low. A lot of times when I shoot the moon and I'd say probably 40% of the time, I just don't get the shot.
Yeah.
Below the clouds, but.
Yep. I've made plenty of drives, especially, I enjoy astrophotography. I don't do it nearly as much as I should, but having two small children, it's, I feel terrible leaving my wife and I'm like, well, if they wake up, she's got nobody to help her. So in the future, I'll do some more of it, but there's been a few nights where I've been driving out and you see like the crescent moon setting on the horizon, and you can see the actual moon. You're like, it's a clear night. There's no clouds on the horizon, and I'm driving in the middle of nowhere. Of course, I have no subject. I have nothing to make this shot work. Like, great. And then when you actually go out and try to make that shot happen, it's like, hey, clouds or wildfire smoke or whatever.
Yeah, speaking of that wildfire smoke, there's been a lot of that last few years, it seems like. It does make for pretty interesting composition when that sun and just changes how it looks. But, obviously it's not good, but it makes for interesting photos sometimes.
It does. And one of the things that I've noticed is, it's fully dependent on the amount of smoke, but if it's not a super heavy amount, like light, light to very moderate, you can actually get some really interesting orangish golden hues on things that it kind of pops. Like I noticed up in Marquette a few weeks ago that the reddish rocks out there on Little Presque, like they were almost vibrant in the morning light, because it basically the light had picked up that reddish orangish hue and just made them pop. And I was like, wow, that's different.
Yeah, that's a cool place out there.
Yeah, I love visiting Marquette. That whole area, the shoreline, there's a ton of waterfalls out there too, like a lot more than I realized. When I was out there cruising around, I've got thousands of pins of different places on my phone. And I was
Sure.
just picking random ones and like, well, let's see what I marked over here. Let's see what I marked over there.
Yeah.
And just waterfalls everywhere.
Yeah, and those are so cool in the wintertime as well. Like time standing still.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. And, a lot of them, well, not a lot of them, but that's a good amount of them. They're down truck trails and, the two tracks and what have you. And I was surprised when I got out there. There was a few. I mean, you can get to like Yellow Dog Falls and everything, but then there's Google that was just like, no, we're gonna take this truck trail, and like it's legitimately a truck trail that's gonna take you to this waterfall. You're making minor water crossings. You're driving through sand. You're going all over the place, hopping rocks, but the
Yeah.
waterfalls are really cool when you get there.
Yeah, they are. Have you seen the ice curtains in Munising in the wintertime?
I haven't, unfortunately. That's on my list of things to do next
Yeah.
year, though.
Yeah, those are pretty cool.
Yeah. Yeah. One of these winters, whenever it finally gets cold enough, because the last few years it hasn't been. I don't know if it has been in almost a decade, maybe longer now, where Lake Superior freezes enough to where you can go out on it and get to like Grand Island or go to the Apostle Islands. You can get
Yeah.
out there on the ice. I've been hopeful, but no luck yet.
Yeah, I was scheduled to go out to Grand Island a couple years ago, and man, they just didn't have the ice. Kind of deteriorated and didn't get to go. I was disappointed.
Yeah, it's such a cool place out there, and you look at the shots of people that have been out there in winter, that those ice curtains that are out there, and even the ice curtains there in Munising. I mean,
Yeah.
those are still really cool to go and see, even if you can't get out to the island. But that stuff out on Lake Superior is really cool too.
Yeah. Neil and Aubrietta introduced me to those ice curtains, and even good times.
Yeah, their workshops. I personally haven't been, but everybody I've talked to about their workshops. They always say that it's such a good time. You guys go to so many cool places, and
Yeah.
I've seen a few of Neil and Aubrietta's shots where they've got the sun peeking around an icicle or something and illuminating the cave, or the ice is lit up and you can see how blue and just vibrant it really is in the sunlight. That's really cool.
Yeah, it is.
Of all the seasons that you go up to the Upper Peninsula, do you have a favorite one?
I'm probably gonna have to say winter, just because the landscape is so unique.
Yeah. I mean, it makes sense. I've always loved winter myself. I regrettably don't have a snowmobile, so I can't go to a lot of the cool spots. But, when you were saying there at the beginning of the episode that, you guys go down these trails, you get off the snowmobile and, you've got drifts taller than you, that would be something to see. That'd be cool.
Yeah, some of those trails are so long. Back then I didn't really think about it. You break down, you got a long walk though too. There's a long trail going to from Newberry to Quanamon. It's pretty amazing.
Yeah. Every time I've gone up there in the winter, you hear snowmobiles around the clock. I mean, they're always out there. And then, in the spring, summer, fall, sometimes to get to a location or just exploring, I'll walk some of the trails and kind of try to figure out, like, where does this go? Where does that go? Can this get me over here or over there?
Yeah.
And some of them, you get on them and you can just look down them and it's like they just keep going and going and going.
Yeah. I use Gaia GPS, that app. Have you heard of that?
Yeah. Yeah. I've used that.
Yeah, it's a pretty good app.
Yeah. Onyx Backcountry, and Gaia GPS. Those have both been pretty great for me in finding things or just navigating out there, especially when you're not in cell phone range. If you download the maps beforehand,
Yeah, for sure.
you can wander around.
Get a little dangerous and find your way out.
Oh yeah. That's, it's the adventure. It's the exciting part about it. I mean, you know, 3 years ago now, I bought a handheld Garmin GPS. I've relied on that thing so many times to get me into places that I may not have otherwise been confident in going without it. And having something that hey, I can find my way back out. It definitely gives you that confidence to do more exploring, to go a little further because hey, I can get out of this. I know my way back.
As long as you have them breadcrumbs turned on.
Yes. Yes. Make sure it's tracking, or at least mark where you came in at with a waypoint so you can find your way back from there.
Yeah, I've had a couple Garmin handhelds and I actually have worn a couple of them out.
Really?
Yeah.
They do take a beating. I noticed that on this last trip. I was going to a lot of off the beaten path places and I was surprised. I set my bag down next to a waterfall and I usually keep my Garmin on my belt loop for my bag, and it kind of flipped down. I didn't see it, and it was in the water for maybe 5 minutes. And I mean, it was like just a couple inches of water, but it was in it. And I look over, I was like, oh my gosh, like I just smoked my Garmin. Like, this is not good. Picked it up, still worked just fine. I was like, all right, don't want to lose your navigational tool.
Oh no.
And I'm sure, as somebody that does off road and exploring the off the beaten path locations, one thing that I've learned in the years of doing it is always have a backup. Like, I use my Garmin as my primary, but I have all the maps and everything downloaded to my phone so
Yeah,
that,
same.
yeah, that way, if something does go wrong, you're good.
Yeah. I got the old trusty compass as well.
Yep. Yeah. I carry a compass with me, and my dad. So my dad was in the Marine Corps, And he always made fun of me. He passed away in 2020, but he always made fun of me. He was like, you new age kids and all this technology you guys have, like, what are you going to do if it doesn't work? How are you going to find your way out? So he insisted when I was younger that I learn how to use a compass and a map and, figure out coordinates and, really just figuring out how to navigate only using a map and compass. And, it really does make a huge difference knowing that when you're out there.
Yeah, that's a big help.
Oh,
Smart
yeah.
man making you learn that. That's great.
Yeah. Of all of your off-road adventures, all the different places you've traveled, is there one adventure that really stands out to you?
Probably just being out west, in San Juan Mountains. That was pretty epic. And the snowmobile trips. I mean, so beautiful in the wintertime. And I mean, the snow is so deep, you're riding at the top of some of those trees. And, I don't know if you know what a tree hole is, but that's a hole around the outside of the tree where the snow doesn't go in. And you can see those tree holes and you have to stay away from them. Otherwise, you're going to sink way far down deep.
Man, I've never been. Well, I went snowmobiling when I was really young, but I've never been snowmobiling in the mountains. That sounds
Yeah.
terrifying.
Yeah, it was at first, but I mean, with a group of people, it's beautiful. And one year we even went into Yellowstone National Park. That's a guided tour. You have to go in with a guide right now. It used to be, anyways. I'm not sure what it is now, but that was cool.
Yeah, Yellowstone, especially in winter, man, that would be something. We still have, all kinds of cool places to explore out there. And I've always told myself, at the beginning of every year, it's a new opportunity. Get out there in winter, check something new out, and then just kind of let it guide you for the rest of the year. Wherever your inspiration leads, it's weird because, like, I'll look back over the years and you can kind of tell how your inspiration shifted or how certain things inspired you one year, and then the next year it was something totally different, and you kind of see themes in your work. Do you ever experience that?
Oh yeah, I agree with you. You can just look back and see what was most interesting and see why. Well, I kind of like this a little bit better now. I got more of these pictures, but but I'm a sucker for a good waterfall, lighthouse, just anything around the Great Lakes. I need to check out the east side of Michigan a little bit more thoroughly. I don't get over that way very much, being on the other side of the state. But
Yeah, I mean, there's so much to explore over there, and that's something that I told myself after my last couple trips is that I'm going to spend some time in the lower peninsula. I want to go to, like, the Indiana dunes and check that area out. I drive by it all the time and I'm like, I'm going to stop. I'm going to stop, and then I never do. And it's like, it's like 2 hours from me, maybe. I don't even think it's that far. And, you know, it's a national park now. So they've got,
yeah, I saw that.
yeah, I mean, I've been there a few times, but usually I get there, it's like an hour and a half, 2 hours to sunset. So you don't have as much time to explore, but I think it'd be a neat area to check out.
Yeah. And Warren Dunes is similar. That's just north of there in Bridgman
Hmm.
before you get to St. Joe. That's a nice park.
Yeah, I went to Warren Dunes when I was a kid. My family and I would go there, and then some friends and I went there in high school and college. And man, I have some memories climbing up that big dune right outside of the parking lot. You
Yeah,
get
Tower
there and
Hill.
yeah, you try to run up the thing and you get like 20 feet. You're like, okay, this is not going to work. But then you get to the top and you try to run down it and you're like, oh my God, what am I doing?
Like a freight train on the way down.
Hmm. But it's cool that, we all have like those shared experiences of these awesome places.
Yeah. Actually got a moonrise at Warren Dunes last year. It turned out pretty good.
We'll have to include a link to some of these shots that you've shared. Include them in the show notes there so that people can check them out and see some of the work you've done here.
That'd be great.
Yeah. Well, how can people find your work? Do you share your socials, your website if you got it?
On Facebook, I got a Facebook photography page. It's Keith Blaske Photography. Also on Instagram. I think my name is K_Blaske. You just look up Keith Blaske. I'm sure you could find me though. I also have a website on Pixels where I sell some of my work. And that's it.
Very cool, man. Well, I'll include all those links in the show notes below as well, so that everybody can come and check out some of your photography here, and check out your website, give you a follow, and keep up with what you're doing here in Michigan.
Well, thank you, Nick.
Yeah, sure thing, man. Hey, thanks for jumping on the show and just having a casual chat, man. It's nice to just sit back and just talk about photography and just have fun with it.
Yeah, it's been great. I appreciate it very much.
Yeah, of course. Thank you again for joining us, Keith. It was an awesome discussion. If you guys haven't yet, please do not forget to head over to the links in the show notes and check out some of his work. Give him a follow. On the next episode, we're starting it off, guys. Fall is right around the corner, and you know what that means. It's time to start planning your fall color adventures. I have already started getting things ready. All summer now, I've been steadily scoping out some new areas through some scouting runs and some desktop recon, just getting out there, finding new things. But we're going to take it a step further in the next few episodes here. We're going to be joined by Uber Steve as we discuss the annual Uber Fall Color Report and how beneficial it is to those looking to get out there and make the most of their fall colors trip. Make sure that you are subscribed and following along with these shows so that you can be notified when it becomes available. If you would like to support the show, check out the link to the Patreon in the show notes below. Any support is greatly appreciated. Thank you all for listening. See you guys in 2 weeks. Take care, everybody.